Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our October Inventor Club call. It's great to see you all here today. I'm so glad that you could join us. We're live from littleBits headquarters here in New York, and get ready for our extra spooky, spectacular Halloween club call. I'm really excited because we're going to show off sound bits a little bit later, and we'll have a guest from the littleBits team joining us. But to get started, for those of you who haven't joined us before or who don't know me, because I'm relatively new to littleBits, I'm Naveen, and I'm the new manager of community programs here at littleBits. So you've likely received emails from me, and here I am, decked out in my Superwoman costume in spirit of Halloween and bitified. So I have To the Rescue, and I have the power of light in my hand, so I can right at the camera. So this is a really cool way to just like add motion and light, sound, to a basic costume. So I'm going to slow down my my sign that says To the Rescue. Save my superpowers for later. And let's get started. So let's go over first what we're going to cover on today's call. We're going to do littleBits updates as usual from the Bitosphere. We're going to share an awesome club in Montclair, New Jersey, and their club leader, and talk a little bit about what they've been doing. As I mentioned, we'll have a special visitor from the littleBits team. He's from the design team, but he's also worked a lot with our Synth kit, which produces a lot of the sound bits. So he'll be here, and we'll be creating some spooky Halloween sounds together. And that's just in time for you to invent some spooky Halloween inventions with your club members and inventors for next week. At any time, you can shoot us some messages and questions in the chat, and we have Eric on the sidelines here who's helping moderate the chat, so feel free to write in, say hi, and he'll share out with me. Very fun. Eric's laughing at me. So on that note, we are going to move on to updates. So, Club Leader Facebook group. If you didn't know we have one, we do. Look, search littleBits Inventor Club on Facebook. It's a closed group, but I am in charge of running that, so I can approve you in. And it's a really great place. I've been seeing lots of great conversation happening between club leaders on our Facebook page, lots of great ideas and discussions, really cool inventions being shared. So use the Facebook group. It's also a place where I go to ask you guys what you want to know about on these club calls. So that's how we came up with the sound bits for today's feature. Facebook group, use it. Okay, next thing, challenges. As we mentioned last month, we know it's something that we've done in the past with clubs, and it's something that's super exciting, and it's going to be coming back. Sit tight, we promise they're coming back, wait for it, and you're gonna hear about some really cool challenges, I would say, definitely before the holiday season. If you haven't yet checked out our new Droid Inventor Kit, you should. I'm gonna pull off the head of our droid here, but it's Halloween, so he's headless. This is our Halloween, this is our Droid Inventor Kit, which is awesome. If you look on the Facebook page, our Invent community platform, you'll see that lots of clubs actually have already started using these and customizing them and making really cool droids with their inventors. So check it out. Might be something you want to check out for this holiday season. And then let's, speaking of the Droid Inventor Kit, not only can you check out really cool things that our community is creating with the droid and customizing them, but if you go to our website under resources, we actually have 3 lessons that go with the droid kit that you can utilize, and we're working on some additional supporting content around the star kit. So definitely we have lots of stuff that you can engage your inventors with star kit. So if you're using it, let us know. We want to know what kids are thinking, we want to know how inventors are using it, and we want to know how you're customizing and how you're remixing. Now we have something really special coming up. On November 15th, we will have Hour of Code, a webinar for Hour of Code. So those of you who participate in Hour of Code, we're going to be partnering with code.org and having a special littleBits webinar on how you can use our code kit to really like ramp up your Hour of Code with your students. So check out our website. You can register for the webinar on our website. It's littlebits.cc/Hour of Code webinar. You can also shoot me an email and I'd be happy to direct you to the sign up. So that's going to be super awesome. So I know coding is like a big thing that a lot of clubs are working on. Hour of Code's coming up. Code Kit is perfect for it. So we're going to move on now to talking about our featured littleBits club from Montclair, New Jersey, the Montclair Learning Center. And the club leader is Christiane Agpo, and we reached out to her. And she's reaching back out now, I hear her, with some feedback about how their club's going and what they're doing. So first, a little bit about their club. The MLC Learning Center is not only a STEM after school in Montclair, but it's a summer camp and a makerspace and a party space. Definitely encourage you to check out their club page on the littleBits site. Next month, they already have an event posted. They're hosting a Harry Potter STEM mini camp. So that's super cool. You might want to contact that club leader about joining. And their members have created some really awesome inventions if you go on their page. There's step-on-it keyboards, a dancing robot, target games. They've also actually worked with our Droid Inventor kit. So a great club to check out, really doing some awesome work. So we reached out to their amazing club leader, Christiane, and asked her some questions about littleBits and her littleBits Inventor Club. And so here is what she said. After screaming, she said, we asked her about the most recent inventions that her inventors have been working on and their inspiration. And she talked about actually their own droid during a Star Wars mini camp. So they used our droid kit to make custom droids at this mini camp, and they had so much fun because they love Star Wars, and they had so much fun building and programming and playing with the droids. So that's a favorite, most recent invention. As always, we celebrate fails as opportunities for learning. And so I asked what their most awesome fail, in quotes, was. And Christiane shared with us that when they were tinkering with and debugging with a beta version of CodeKit, which they had the opportunity to do through a program last year or earlier this year, they gave some valuable feedback to our product team that really helped inform CodeKit, which launched this year. So, you know, trial and error, problem solving, that was like failing in that process helped us make a better product. So thank you so much to MLC littleBits chapter for helping us with CodeKit. We asked what's on the agenda, what's next for their club. And so in November, as I said, they're having that Harry Potter mini camp, and they can't wait to see what their students are going to creatively do. For one, they're definitely going to be using littleBits to create blinking magic wands, which is super cool. And why not keep Halloween going through November? That's super awesome. And then anything else they'd like to share, she said, we love littleBits because all of the different age groups can have fun while learning critical STEM skills. Their teenagers enjoyed visiting the littleBits headquarters. They had an opportunity to do that. If you are a club that is sort of local, or if your club will be visiting New York and you ever want to stop on by, shoot me an email. It's naveen.murad@littlebits.cc. And we'd love to set something up, you know, when we can. So our students were able to come in, visit our headquarters, and then actually test and give us feedback on CodeKit. So check out their page and check out Christiane's work and chat with her in the Facebook closed group for Inventor Club leaders just like you. So we are going to move on in a moment to welcoming a guest who will be here shortly, Chris, who is going to show us sound bits, spooky sound bits. But until Chris arrives, I have some very, very funny jokes about Halloween to share with you. So, you might want to share a few of these. Oh, actually, I'm going to do this for this first one. Do zombies eat popcorn with their fingers? No, they eat the fingers separately. Ha! So good. And with that, I would like to introduce my esteemed colleague, Chris P. from Design at littleBits, who is going to talk to us about sound bits. Hey,
Hello.
Chris, thanks for coming.
Hi, Vivian. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So glad you could join us. So I have your Halloween
Thank
water
you.
in case you get parched.
Yeah,
so cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Halloween is such a fun time at littleBits. As you can see, there's so much you can do to really, like, you know, light up your give your costume real superpowers.
You get a blaster, you've got a little moving.
I got a moving message that I'm to the rescue.
It's kind of like if Superman tried to do like a bat signal.
Yeah.
You know, and instead of going into like the telephone booth, you know, you just have this badge that kind of.
Or it's pointing me to where I need to go go to the rescue.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like sensing it.
Yeah, it's like a little radar that's like pulsing, like where's the danger at?
Yeah, it's like this way, this way. Awesome. So we have our club leaders on the call, and super excited that you're here to talk about spooky sound bits just in time for Halloween.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you take it from here, Chris.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about some of the bits that come majority with this synth kit. So if you're not familiar, we do have a synth kit. Basically, what it allows you to do is synthesize your own sounds using a modular synthesizer. And if that sounds like a mouthful, it's totally fine. This stuff doesn't have to be like, you know, like super complicated. Basically, what I like to do is kind of use very simple circuits to make my own sounds. So I have a few circuits that are already completed. But first, I want to take you through like what comes in the synth kit, just so you can kind of get a sense of like the sound capabilities. So just starting off, like every kit, you know, we have like a power bit and like a battery and cable. Again, this is just to power your circuits. I'm actually going to be using the USB power with the power bank. Totally optional if you have it, that's great. I like to use this because the synth kit tends to take a little bit more power just because we're using a speaker, which brings you to the speaker here. So this is the speaker bit. Comes with a headphone port. So if you want to make your tunes in isolation using a pair of headphones, you can totally do that. And then this one has like a little dial right there. And you can kind of move that to adjust the volume. Sometimes I also used to like use like a slide dimmer before the speaker, just so I have like a nice little fader control over this, over the volume.
Slide dimmer.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. So that works really well. And then if you have the code kit, I believe the code kit comes with a fader actually built onto the speaker, which is also really convenient. Mine just happens to have a little, you know, dial on it to adjust volume, but that's totally fine. Cool thing about the speaker too is that it comes off. So there's like a little piece of Velcro on the bottom, and this comes with your speaker. And then there's also like this little like Velcro spot right here. So what I like to do is, you know, kind of rearrange my speaker. So it could be like sitting up towards me, like on the ground, or it could be like, you know, projecting kind of like that. And then you can also just attach this like to your head or something for like a megaphone kind of effect. Lots of fun possibilities with the synth speaker. And then I'm just going to go through some of like the synthesizer bits and just sort of make like real world analogies on what they mean. So each synth kit comes with 2 oscillators. This is what one of them looks like. And basically there's like a main pitch dial that allows you to tune the sounds. So we'll just kind of listen to that. It's a very like raw kind of tone. And honestly, you know, like you want to, this is like a good test circuit, but it's not totally, you know, like you could do a lot more with the synth kit. This is kind of just to test the circuit. So I'm going to plug in my power.
I'm going to show them the circuit. Yeah. So I'm going to move the camera just for a second so that we can see the circuit that Chris is building while he talks.
Oh, should I play upside down? Or Yeah, I can kind of do it like that. Okay, so you kind of get a sense. Circuit's upside down, but that's okay. So it sounded really high pitched there, just because I had the pitch knob really high up. I'm also going to turn down the volume just a little slightly. Apologize for the squeal. That happens sometimes. So we have a nice signal here. And again, this is the nice thing about the synth kit, is that you can move around the speaker. And you can just kind of sweep through and get like, that's like a really low bassy sound. Okay, so that's what the oscillator sounds like. That's the square wave. You can switch that to saw. Kind of hear a difference, right? There's like a little bit of a difference in how those two sound. So basically, they're just different waveforms and different shapes that you can use to create your own sounds. What I'm going to do is make it a little bit more complex and attach the keyboard. So let's go ahead and hear what that sounds like. And the nice thing about the keyboard is that you can actually play a song, play a little melody. So that's in press mode. There's also a hold mode. So those modes allow you to basically kind of be more expressive with your circuit. But one other thing that the synth kit comes with is this thing called the envelope. If you attach that to the edge of your circuit, you can kind of get more sort of, interesting, we call them like loudness contours. You can kind of think of it as like some percussion or like a violin bow. But basically, you have like a bit more of a contour on the circuit. So this is using some of the attack and decay settings and kind of messing around with those. This is like a medium kind of decay. And I feel like sometimes bit snaps are a little tricky. Okay.
We'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, we can just
No
go.
worries.
Yeah. So that's so we can do some of the spooky sound circuits now. One of these circuits that's really fun is just to kind of emulate sort of like wind, like kind of like a whooshing sound. So I'm going to go ahead and attach just the random to the filter, and this is going to allow me to kind of make like kind of like a shore kind of sound. So you just think of like waves and stuff like that. And then you can adjust the peak and kind of make it more like wispy. So this is like pretty cool to have as like kind of like an interesting like sound design tool. I always like to use the delay too, because it kind of gives me a bit of time in between each of the different sort of like expressions. So I'm gonna hear the echoes.
Yeah, awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, so that's like the spooky kind of wind sound, and you can kind of play it using this filter here. And you can adjust how the time is. It doesn't have to be like so repetitive. It could be like really sharp. It's almost like whispering. Yeah, like someone's like whispering in your ear. Yeah.
Could you add a motion sensor and have it so that when someone passes by, it makes that?
Could totally do that. Yeah. So there is this bit snap here at the top. It's called frequency in, and that's going to allow you to actually use a different bit to control the cutoff on the filter. And what the filter is doing is actually attenuating different frequencies on a signal. So basically, it's sort of like kind of like a color intensity for your sound in a sense. You're kind of removing harmonics from your signal, and it allows you to sort of do that in this like subtractive kind of way. The noise again is like very expressive because it's just always on. So as we move the cutoff up, you can kind of hear like the decay of that is in the delay, but just sort of like that kind of sound comes from like the extra harmonics being added into the signal. So yeah, you could easily add like a proximity sensor to kind of do one of those. You can add like a motion trigger. Every time someone passes by, it would trigger a sound. So yeah, a lot of possibilities there. And I'm going to stick with the random for a second. And this is kind of like the last circuit that I'm going to demonstrate for a spooky sound. But I really like to use sort of random voltages. So there's two different modes on the random. One of them is the noise, which I just demonstrated. And the other one is random voltage. So we're going to use that random voltage to control the pitch of the oscillator. This is a fairly big circuit, but basically it's just going to be microsequencer into random voltage into oscillator. And then I have some sound modifiers here at the end, like the filter and delay. So right now we're not hearing anything because I have my filter totally down, but as I move this up, let's see if we can kind of make that a little bit louder. Trying to get like some spooky sounds here.
Super cool.
So it's a little computery, I'd say. Yeah, I kind of slow the sequence down a bit. Yeah. It's kind of more of the vibe.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is the way the circuit works is every time the microsequencer goes another step, see it's stepping right here. If you go really slow, you can kind of hear it. Every time it goes another step, it's going to create a new random voltage from the random, which is going to go to the pitch of the oscillator, control the pitch. And the voltages are always different every time. They're not always the same. It's always random. It's kind of just like this sort of wavering kind of sound.
Sorry, camera adjustment.
And the way of getting all these expressions is just using the cutoff on the filter here. If you just have this open all the time, the melodies would just keep playing, but we're kind of just like listening to them like, you know, kind of, I feel like in a more tasteful way. Anyway, that's sort of my two spooky circuits using filtered noise and using sort of like a random voltage to create like, you know, kind of like a spooky sort of like eerie, creepy kind of melody, you know, it kind of feels like someone's like following you or there's like, you know, something scary is about to happen. But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities in these sound bits. If there's any particular questions that anyone has, feel free to type that into chat. I mean, I also use a lot of other bits in addition to the sound bits. I find like the servo, as that moves, like the mechanical arm could totally be like a percussive stick on like a drum. So there's a lot of possibilities with the synth kit, and incorporating it into the other bits that you may have in your circuits. And you know, you always hear a lot that one of the great things that people love about the synth kit is that it's like just super immediate, and it's one of the you know, you get like immediate like sound feedback on like what you're doing. So that's sort of the synth kit in a nutshell, and the sound bits. We have a couple other sound bits that aren't included in this kit that you could also purchase. That's basically like an MP3 player, and you just load up sounds on an SD card. And a fun circuit to do with that is it's sort of like a motion trigger with an MP3 player. So every time someone like maybe enters a room, the sound goes off, or if someone passes by or like, you know, puts their hand in like a candy jar, you know, there's like a sound trigger. You can also use a proximity sensor as well, you know, to trigger an MP3 player. And you kind of choose like what sounds you want on your MP3 player.
It'd be really fun to do like a candy bowl like that for Halloween, then leave it out and, you know, sort of trick some trick-or-treaters when they reach in for the candy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so super fun. This was so informative and really cool. I love the sound bits. And before you go, Chris, I have to ask you a question.
Okay, what is it? It's
a really important question. What happens when a ghost gets lost in the fog?
When a ghost gets lost in the fog? He becomes the fog? They become the fog?
You're close. He is missed.
Oh.
And my last one is, what did Dracula say after hearing all of Naveen's jokes on Club Call?
What did Dracula say after the club call after hearing all your jokes?
The jokes, not the call, the jokes.
Oh, the jokes. Okay. I don't know. I mean, yeah, what happened?
They suck. Get it, Dracula sucks. Yeah. All right, so some corny Halloween jokes for you here from littleBits. Thanks so much, Chris.
Thanks, Naveen. Yeah,
it's great having you.
And
all right.
thank you.
We're gonna keep going on, club leaders. Exit, Chris. Chris, I'm gonna send you off with some power lights. So that was awesome. I hope you really enjoyed Chris's introduction to the synth kit and the sound bits and the spooky sound circuits he made. To close up, if you have any questions and you're able to access the chat, feel free to throw them in there. Eric, my trusty sidekick here, will share them with me, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. Other than that, things to keep in mind. Please keep sharing your inventors' inventions on the littleBits site. We're always looking at what you're posting every day. We're looking to feature the newest, coolest community inventions. You'll notice we switch out the featured inventions and Community Hall of Fame each week. So please, please, please share the awesome stuff you're doing, not only to celebrate like what cool things you're doing, but to really inspire other inventors around the world to make what you've made, or to iterate on it, remix it. So share your inventions with us. We love seeing them. And also, it's inspiration and sort of as part of littleBits being a movement of makers and sharing ideas, right? So when you're sharing your inventions, you're actually helping others out. It's like the Isaac Newton quote that I really love. If I've seen further, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants. We build upon each other and we make awesome, epic creations. If you guys have done something really cool in your club and you want us to highlight or feature you next month, please let us know. Reach out to me by email. Again, naveen.murad@littlebits.cc. You can find me on the website as well. And we'd love to feature you or your club or your club's invention on our next call. And use the Facebook page, please, so we know what you want to hear about. And that's it for today, folks. So we just have a signing off as Superwoman. I'll give you some bit-spiration right there. And we hope you have a wonderful, happy Halloween with your inventors. Keep on inventing. Thanks for being here, and feel free to drop us a line anytime. Bye.